Good evening. Disturbing evidence of Muslim children in China being systematically separated from their families has been uncovered by the BBC. Official documents show that large numbers of state boarding schools have been built to house children as young as 2. Critics of China's government say it's a deliberate policy to cut the children off from their communities. The children are minority Uighur Muslims from the region of Xingjiang. The BBC has already reported a vast network of re-education camps for adults there, where it's thought more than 1 million people are detained. The authorities say the camps are for combating violent religious extremism. Now some Uighur parents speaking in exile have told the BBC that as well as losing adult relatives, their children too have disappeared and they're not being told where they're held. Our China correspondent John Sudworth has this exclusive report.
In account after account, gathered in a meeting hall in Istanbul, Muslims from Xinjiang speak again and again of the immeasurable grief of separation from their children.
Who is looking after the children?
Singlimning yoldaşı yok, singlimning oğlu yok, mening oğlum yok.
Back home, China's been sweeping Xinjiang's Uyghurs, Kazakhs and other minorities who have their own languages and culture into giant camps where they're taught Chinese and to love the Communist Party. Abdurrahman Toti moved to Turkey in 2013. 3 years ago, his wife and children went back to Xinjiang for a short trip and vanished. But then he found this, a video posted online of his son in a boarding school speaking not in Uyghur, his mother tongue, but in Chinese.
Misalan bu bala 2 yıl 3 yıl yan Xitayning qolida.
Alongside the camps, China has been building something else. Giant new schools, many with huge dormitories. This kindergarten sleeps hundreds. We film at one camp. While the adults are kept here, their children are in this nearby school. And this kindergarten has barbed wire, cameras and signs that say only Chinese should be spoken.
Can you imagine that? Can you imagine?
Xu Guixiang from Xinjiang's propaganda bureau denies that large numbers of children have been left without parents. But such cases are not hard to find. Amina Wyatt, who now runs a clothes shop in Turkey, recently found this picture of her stepdaughter on social media. It's a sign her close relatives are in the camps, her stepdaughter in a boarding school and wearing traditional Chinese costume.
If you could send a message to Akida today, what would you tell her?
Research of online documents commissioned by the BBC shows only an 8% increase in kindergarten places for China as a whole. But in Xinjiang, as the camps have been built, there's been an 82% jump. And in some Uyghur majority areas, numbers have shot up even further.
The Xinjiang government is attempting to gain full control over the young generation, to literally raise a new generation that has been cut off from original roots, from religious beliefs, from cultural knowledge, even from their own language. I believe the evidence really points what we must call cultural genocide.
Khalida Akitkan Kurza has moved to Kazakhstan, but when she heard that the Chinese camps had left her 14 grandchildren without parents, she phoned the village official.
Sizin balalarınız siyasi okuda dep setdi. Hey, menin 14 nemirem qayda? Dep aytyp edim. 14 nemireniz bar goy dep ben tılpını öşürüp etdi.
We try to look for Khalida's missing relatives.
Yorenzai.
The family home is locked and deserted. We call the village official, but he hangs up on us too. We find only the signs of a giant vanishing and the shattering of countless families.
And John joins me now from Beijing. John, you've reported extensively on the treatment of Muslim minorities by the Chinese authorities. Is anything likely to change as a result?
Well, Rita, China says it is fighting violent extremism. It's even holding up what it's doing in Xinjiang as a model for the international community, trying to find common cause with Western rhetoric about the war on terror. What's extraordinary, I think, is when you go to Turkey and you speak to some of those parents, is you discover that many of them had good jobs back in Xinjiang, professional jobs. Some of them had government positions. These were loyal Chinese citizens. Not anymore. This may be a distant part of the planet. It may be a forgotten corner, but what is happening there, I hope we've shown in our reports over the past few weeks, is of vital importance. China says it matters because it's fighting for its stability and its security. Critics would say it raises fundamental questions about just what can happen in societies with no fundamental protections or legal recourse at all.
John, many thanks. Our China correspondent there, John Sudworth.